Hi everyone, Unit 3, Activity 3 deals with renting and the decisions that we have to make. In the content pages, you're going to be looking at the nature of leases and some of the legal requirements and responsibilities of being a tenant or being a landlord. You can take a look through rights and responsibilities by clicking on this link here. It's going to open up a new tab that brings you to a government website with information for tenants and landlords. So there's various rules and considerations, how to access different services, as well as some of the forms that you might need and knowing what your rights and responsibilities are. So that's very important if you're considering becoming a renter or becoming a landlord. As you scroll down, you'll also be able to see that there's a link for municipal affairs and housing. That's only if you need to find out more information. It's not a requirement for the course, but it is interesting because it brings you to the Ontario Service Canada page where you can learn about some of the different services that the government provides for residents of Canada and Ontario. So here, products from Service Ontario, so birth certificates, driver's license, and health cards, as well as looking at data and government and what's available to everybody in a transparent manner. So in Canada, we can look into more detail on the government and looking at the different rules and the different ministries and finances and how they impact us. But as I said, that page is not a requirement for any of the assignments. It's just for special interest. As you scroll down, you're going to do an interactive tour of a rental property here. So this is just a fictitious scenario using one of our Adobe Flash programs. Click no if you don't have headphones. And it's just looking at the case of Charles. And we're going to learn more about what Charles' experience is and then what's acceptable and what's not. So even though it's in cartoon form, it is based on situations that have happened to renters or to people who rent houses out to others. Check your understanding. Again, go through these questions, answer the questions before moving on to the assignment. I hope you find this assignment interesting. There's an optional discussion about what you might do if you have a negative situation, such as a noisy neighbor, what your options are. But really, the focus of this is assignment 3. So there are 2 options for assignment 3. You only have to complete one of them and submit it to the Dropbox. Option A, if you don't consider yourself a very creative person, or if you're more interested in the nuts and bolts behind the politics and the legalities, then you might want to do option A, steps to selecting a rental unit. So in this case, you're creating a 4-page brochure that outlines the process of selecting a rental unit for first-time renters. So you're teaching people what they should look for. I want catchy titles, cool graphics, step-by-step processes for a first-time renter from start to finish. A checklist that might help them with what they're doing. So cost, location, facilities, condition of the unit, something that's going to help them to protect themselves. And page 4 is the back cover. So any contact numbers or websites. So things such as the landlord and tenant board that I just showed you might be useful there, as well as if there's anything in your local community. Option B is a little more creative. You're decorating a rental unit. So this is a complex task because when you own your own home, you can make changes that you cannot make if you are a renter. If you're a renter, then you might be responsible for any damage that happens to the property. Most renters sign agreements, and you will not get your money back from your deposit if you have any damage. And that can include holes in the wall. It could include if you paint something and they don't like the paint color. So you have to make sure that you've asked your landlord questions. But having said that, the decorating a rental unit has become a really popular new thing. It wasn't popular a number of years ago, but all of a sudden you'll find there are a number of businesses popping up that help people learn how to decorate rental units. So let's imagine that you're a decorator. You've been hired to create a vision board with ideas or tips that a renter can use to decorate or personalize their unit. I want you to also have a catchy title and cool graphics. Maybe you're doing this in a PowerPoint. Maybe you're making a video. Maybe you're making some kind of a board, a dream board. But what you're going to do is you're going to present your ideas to me. A step-by-step process for the renter to follow. So let's say that you decide on how they can make temporary changes to countertops, to floors, to window coverings, to walls, how they might choose to hang their art. Any options such as that, you want to make sure you indicate the steps involved or at least have links to various steps. Now, I don't want you just posting here other people's suggestions. I want you to at least create something of your own so that I can mark that. And I want you to include a checklist that would cover topics such as cost, materials, and methods for the rental client that you have, and explain to them how you're going to implement your ideas, or if you're going to do it yourself, what would you charge them as a fee? And then the layout and use of space. So I want this to be really pleasing to look at. So give me an idea what the finished product might be to answer the questions of this rental unit. So really think about it overall. Don't just do maybe one thing. Like, don't just say, oh, this is how you'd hang art, or this is how you'd change your countertop, but pick an entire room or the entire rental unit if it's a small space, and design your vision board. There's a rubric attached here in general, but overall, I want you to start thinking in terms of where we're going to be going as decorators for option B, and where we're going to go as rental owners or people who are renting from others in terms of the legalities and safety of those choices. Anyways, that's your project, option A or B. Don't do both. Submit it when you're finished, and then move on to activity 4.